All right, guys, that'll do it. That'll do it. That'll do it. That'll do it. Wish I had something else to tell you. Wish I had something better to say, but the Seattle Seahawks, they got one more game to play, but their season, in terms of higher aspirations, is over. And it ended because of something that another team did for the second year in a row. Last year, it was the Packers beating the Bears. This year, it was the Commanders beating the Falcons. But in both cases, you will note that neither of the teams listed in those games was the Seahawks. So they end up in this position, and the things that they need to go their way do not go their way. So couldn't be easy either. Couldn't be painless. It had to go to overtime. Had to go to where Atlanta had a chance to hit the not walk off field goal, and it falls a couple yards short, right down the middle. And it has to drag you out all the way to the end here. It's almost midnight. It's almost midnight on the East Coast. That's how long it took for this to get settled. Game just ended like 10 minutes ago. And we didn't even make it to Monday, man. We didn't even make it to Monday of week 17 with life. And look, I don't think I need to tell you guys that the things that we needed to happen over the next week in order to get in would have been monumental. It would have been Herculean to get. It would have been like winning the lottery. But it would have been fun to at least go into week 18 with some hope. And not only are you not going into week 18 with hope, you're not even going into Monday Night Football with hope. So it does sting a little bit to watch all these results that you need just over and over and over again not break your way. You know, it started yesterday with Denver completely blowing that Bengals game a couple different ways. Of course, the Cardinals won. That's ultimately the one that we're really going to be talking about because that would have just made everything else irrelevant, and they had that game right in the palm of their hand. And then you get to today, and like, well, you don't figure the Jets are going to beat the Bills, but then you need the Packers to do something on the Vikings, and you need this, and you're just hoping that somebody can at least get you to Monday night. And nah. So if you were wondering if there's any way for the Seahawks to make the playoffs at this point, the answer is no. There is nothing that can happen at this point within the confines of normal NFL football that can happen that will put the Seattle Seahawks in the postseason. And not much you can do about that now. You got one more game to play. Again, I still am going into that game hoping that the team goes out there and performs and wins. I want to see a team that goes out there and shows that they care about this game. I'll say before I say it again, I don't care about a draft pick that much, especially not at this point. I don't care about picking 2 or 3 picks higher. That does nothing for me. If anything, it's something that can come back and bite you just as much as it comes back and helps you. So I'm thinking about this Rams team next week that may not have anything to play for in this game. So who knows if we see the usual suspects? Who knows what kind of Rams team we see? I understand. I understand that they may not be that interested in winning that game, but I'm still going out there hoping to see my team win and get to that 10th win and show me that on some level, they are headed in the right direction. On some level, this new Seahawks era led by Coach McDonald is headed in the right direction, even if it's not getting to the destination as fast as we would like. Realistically, when we came into the season, I said, I think this team's going to win about 10 games. Maybe they could push it to 11. That's about where I was. And the team did get there. Or if they win next week, they'll have gotten there. So I take some away from that. In the current NFL, 10 wins would usually get you in. If the Seahawks do get to 10 wins and do not get in because the NFC was so impossibly competitive with the wildcard spots that there just wasn't room, then, well, all you can do is really, tip your cap. Actually, this year, if you look at it and you break it down, there's, we already know that 11 wins probably would not have gotten you a wild card berth. And there's some possibility, I believe, where 12 wins wouldn't have done it because these NFC wildcard teams just keep winning. So, look, you can't control everything about your fate, right? You can't control everything unless you win every game, and nobody wins every game. You know, they done it once. So, I get it, but that's just what you sign up for when you decide to root for an NFL team. Some years you go 7-9 and you win the division and you host and win a playoff game. And then some years you win 10 games and you don't get in. That's just what you sign up for. The unpredictability of it all, the variance of it all. Sometimes the garbage works out in your favor and sometimes it doesn't. And this will be one of the years where if we get that 10th win, it didn't work out in our favor. So I can see that and I can respect that. But I can also acknowledge the fact that, hey, this team did do something right this year. I'm not taking away 10 wins from them. I'm not trying to find reasons and excuses why, oh, this doesn't count and that doesn't count. That's for the booger eaters. But now, well, a week from now, but really now I know mentally a lot of Seahawks fans are going to move to the place where they're thinking about next year. Now we got to figure out where we go from here. And look, there's going to be a lot of talk about what needs to be done this offseason. Do we need to make some changes in the coaching staff beneath Macdonald? Obviously, I think Macdonald himself is pretty much impervious to any suggestions of moving on from. I don't think that's a conversation we need to have. But there's going to be talk about the OC. There's going to be talk about the quarterback. There's going to be talk about the offensive line, wide receivers, tight ends, running, maybe not running backs, but almost everything. You've got, defensive line depth. You've got the special teams, which were, I'd say, well below average this year. You've got some stuff to get into. You've got some players that are probably going to be leaving. Some players that are overwhelmingly likely playing their final games as Seahawks next week against the Rams. Guys like Tyler Lockett, who, will be missed for sure. And then you got some guys who I don't really think will be missed all that much. Guys like Noah Fant, guys like Rayshon Jenkins, like they're probably playing their last games as Seahawks. I don't know if anybody's going to get, misty-eyed about that, but there is some stuff to watch for next week, stuff we'll talk about later this week. But everybody wants to know what to do this offseason. Do you make a big change? Do you make little changes? How do you handle this team that took a step in the right direction this year, that did move in a positive direction, but ultimately didn't get quite where we wanted them to get for a couple of different reasons? Do you just make the little adjustments, trying to push your 10 wins into 12 wins, and just next year hope that 12 wins you the division, like it certainly would have this year? Or are you doing something bigger? Are you blowing it up? Are you getting all the old players off the team, bringing in a bunch of young players, and trying to give Macdonald a fresh canvas? We'll talk about it a lot. I already have a pretty good feel for what I hope happens, what I think should happen. But right now, all that need be said is that the Seahawks season is over in terms of higher aspirations. We may get that 10th win next week. In fact, I imagine that we're favored to do so now that the Rams have nothing to play for. But it will not result in a playoff win, so how much are you going to take out of that? I'm going to take something out of it. Maybe not enjoyment. I don't know how much you can enjoy a 10-win season with no postseason. That's just something that can make you a little bit bitter. But I think we all have a pretty good idea of what needs to be done this offseason in our minds. Maybe we won't agree, but we know what we want. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks.